stamina in video games. When you attack or block or do any kind of an action, you deplete stamina, and when you're out of it, your character becomes lethargic and doesn't move very quickly. Is that the way that it works in real life? Let's find out. Okay, for our super simple initial test, just for a baseline, I'm going to attack Matt, and Matt is going to parry, and we're going to see how long we can do that without running out of stamina. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Just parry.
Okay.
I'm getting sloppy, but I'm going. You okay, Matt?
Yeah. Fine.
Okay, I'm pretty tired, but I'm still going. Okay. All right. That was terrible technique, but I just wanted to see how many attacks I could do and how fast I can do it.
Right, so
It was
I'm a little bit winded, but mostly from the moving around.
Yeah. I'm decently winded,
My arms are fine.
but honestly, it was from the flailing. So it's like a worst case scenario, and it went on for a while. Let's do a more realistic scenario. I'm going to attack with a little bit more precision. I'm going to attack with some strategy.
Okay.
You're still just parrying.
Okay.
Any of those hurt?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Okay. Of course, I've already winded myself.
I don't know where his cuts are coming from either.
I'm just throwing crap.
So some of them that got through wasn't me tired. It was just
No, it's just that, like,
he's
Matt.
and
What?
he's fast. They get through.
Okay. So a little bit more precision. Ready? Fence. Okay, I'm pretty tired. Huh. Okay. How are you doing?
Fine.
Are you tired?
Tired, but you know.
You could have kept going.
Fencing is tiring in general,
So,
not just from parrying.
what did we learn from the silly experiment?
We learned that I could basically parry forever.
Yeah, Matt can parry forever. I can't attack forever. Even when I was doing a more modified version, it was still pretty tiring. Granted, and we'll get into this in a second, this isn't how fencing works. I'm not going to continue to make attacks. As I started to continue, my attacks got worse because I was getting tired. So like, it's kind of a good mechanic, stamina, especially if your attacks start to degrade as you get tired. I'd say probably it happens too quick in video games.
Yeah,
And a lot of
they
them
have to give you
reasonable limitations.
well, and they need to give you a way to improve stats and stuff.
Yeah.
Time.
So like, and again, if I was just starting out on this, I probably wouldn't be able to go as long as I did. I will say, I've worked out twice today before this, so I'm kind of a little bit tired already. But no, and the thing is like, the whole regenerating stamina, I could probably do it again. Like, yeah, Trevor's. So yeah, stamina in video games so far is making sense to a certain degree. Usually in video games, parrying takes less stamina than attacking,
Right.
which is true.
One thing in video games is, I think in a lot of video games that have a stamina bar, anytime you have like a shield up or a sword up, even if it's not getting hit, the stamina will not
Drains.
regenerate.
Yeah.
Or it'll stay, which,
Yeah.
I mean, I can catch my breath like this. If I had a shield, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Just standing there.
And so I'll point out on that too. A lot of the times we'll start fencing from a guard. This is the guard, and this is how I recover. Yeah, it takes a little bit of energy to hold this up.
Not really.
Every once in a while, I'll like drop it down and come back up. But
So
a lot of
about
the
2.5 pounds.
yeah, a lot of the time we'll be in a guard as we kind of recover. Let's take a look at what it would look like to actually fence and where our stamina is. So we're just gonna kind of go back and forth. We're not worried about calling points. I hit Matt a lot in that last one just because like he had plenty of opportunities to hit me, he just didn't.
Oh yeah, I wasn't hitting back because I was just focused on parrying.
But he was getting hit, as would happen if you only parried.
Sure.
Now we're gonna do some fencing. We are not going to call out the hits. We might really quick acknowledge them, but we're gonna get right back into it because we want to test out and see how tiring is a real bout that's going back and forth with parries and attacks. So let's take a look.
All right.
I need to take my gloves off. Okay. Oh, I put my mask on. I can't salute you.
That would be here.
All right. A more realistic bout. Ready? Fence. Yep, hands. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah.
That was kind of a spin.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get past
What
my
did it
face.
stop you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. I got all tired from the last one.
Yeah.
How's your hand with it?
Yeah, my arm. Good one.
Was that the hilt? Or did I hit your hand? Doesn't
It's
matter.
plastic.
Okay. That wasn't good for either of us. How tired are you?
Fairly tired, but
Really tired. You can keep going. Ah. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Does that stop you?
My arm, probably. I think it would have stopped me.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of contact on my back, but I don't think there was much of a cut.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired now.
Yeah, I'm getting tired. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting real tired.
It's you. Good one.
Sorry, I was supposed to be higher.
It's okay.
My technique's starting to degrade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's stop.
Okay. I could probably go a little longer, but we're starting to enter that zone where my technique's degrading and I'm feeling less safe.
Yeah.
So that was a good long offense.
I don't know how long it was, but it felt.
It felt long, and granted, 5 minutes? 5 minutes of fencing, which is not nothing.
No.
With no pauses, 5 minutes of fencing is not, and these are longer, heavier swords. Now granted, neither of us is like a professional athlete. So like our
Yeah,
endurance,
I'm definitely not.
our endurance is not necessarily main character status, but I would say that that's a reasonably,
Sure.
so
And
now,
you know, again, the point that I would make is there isn't any one part of it that makes you more tired.
no.
Just all of it.
Yeah.
The moving, the pivoting, the footwork. You know, obviously parrying the same thing.
Parrying takes effort. I would say what's more difficult is finding the footwork into the parry and then riposting out of it.
Yeah, yeah. And,
parrying on its own, sometimes I'll just parry and take distance if I'm too tired.
Sure, yeah, and not every parry has to be an immediate, like, in the same time.
Riposte, yeah.
That's the ideal, but sometimes you parry and then hit. Sometimes you parry and back up so you can take a minute.
I will say that going into this, having done the attacking side twice,
Yeah.
I was really tired
Yeah.
on this bout. I feel like it did start to degrade my performance, which I think, you know, it makes this last test a little muddled, but it means that it does show that, yeah, there is stamina involved in combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More full body, total everything stamina.
But as we've said before, right? With a video game, it has to exist within a set of parameters and rules that the player can get used to and master. So video game mechanics. So stamina as a video game mechanic is really and frankly a very realistic video game mechanic because you couldn't just keep swinging forever. Anything to add?
No.
Yeah?
You've said just about everything. Just overall, you know, it's a game mechanic that has its purpose in the world of a video game, but holding up a sword or a shield doesn't make you any less able to catch your breath or, you know, make you exhausted just holding it up a certain way.
I'll be honest, I expected this to be a little bit less accurate.
Yeah.
And you forget sometimes it's so much fun how tiring it is to just keep going. Because usually in fencing and Blousfesten, which is what we're doing, shirt fencing, you touch and then you stop. You'll take that point because, like we've talked about before, one hit essentially would end the bout. So you don't just continue. But in this, we didn't allow ourselves much time to stop, and it really added up.
And I don't know what it was like in medieval duels, but I know that later on in like maybe Renaissance era or later duels between soldiers or whatever, they would have people called seconds who would come up and take a quick look at what happened and say, well, no, sorry, just the shirt, not a touch, you know. And
I mean, like, honestly, in a real bout, one hit would probably be enough. But you gotta think, like, if you're on the battlefield or something going through one person after another, like, until you die, this is probably what you're not like that necessarily, but you're probably dealing with something along those lines, so having stamina is realistic, especially if you have any amount of armor on you. Armor wasn't super heavy. It was about, like, a full suit of plate armor was about 35 pounds or so.
Maybe
35 to 55.
Well, so one thing that I've seen people who do fight in armor explain to me is, yes, it's overall obviously kind of heavy.
But
it's made of metal. It's distributed.
Yeah.
It doesn't slow you down as much as it looks like in games and movies, but it does to some extent.
It does.
It has to.
But like, it does slow you down. It is more difficult to move in than nothing.
But not impossible.
But not impossible. But the armor over time would add up. And so if you were in a full suit of armor with a gambeson, with chainmail, everything else, you're gonna tire out a little bit faster than you would if you were just in a shirt. So video game mechanics, stamina, armor, creating slower, being slower, losing stamina faster. All of that is realistic. However, it's amped up in video games because it needs to be. Because video game mechanics, right?
Well,
we need it to be.
You're not in there doing it.
Yeah.
So it needs to be more immediate.
Yeah, it needs to be, because it's one more thing for the player to balance, and with an RPG style game where you can up your stats, it gives you something which is very realistic, because if you and I we couldn't do this when we first started.
No.
It's taken time to get this good. So it makes sense, it has its place. So video game stamina, pretty good mechanic.